I'm home, baby, Daniel called out, more out of habit than anything. There was a clatter from the office, and then Amy appeared, her face blank. Oh, you are back. Can you take out the trash? It's starting to smell. Daniel stared at her. Really? Looking at her, and something in him just snapped. Can't you see I'm on crutches? It's just trash, Daniel. It's not like it's heavy.
I see you, my heart, they beats. A lady of all men's dreams. You be the one.
Hello guys. You won't believe this one. Meet Daniel Meyer, the understanding husband, or we say the man who has a lot to endure, lots of housework to do, while his wife, while away with other men. How did Daniel become a houseboy for his wife? Before I dive into this story, please take a moment to like this video and subscribe to the channel. It gives you access to unlimited family drama around the world and possible solutions. Daniel is just a 35-year-old guy who is just trying to make ends meet at a local factory. Let's talk about the daily grind and the shifting in Daniel's marriage. His days usually start at 4:30 a.m. way before the sun decides to show up. Daniel hits the factory floor by 6 o'clock p.m., clocking in for a solid 10 hours. You think coming home will be the relief part of his day, right? Well, think again, because his home is just the second shift thanks to his wife, Amy. Amy, she is a smart one who climbed her way up to starting her own IT company. It was all cool and sweet at the beginning. They were like this team, covering for each other, balancing the chores with their work life. Only that somewhere down the line, things started to tilt, and not in Daniel's favor. As soon as you get home, Daniel, I need you to handle dinner and maybe take care of the laundry. I got this project that is running late. Amy would talk over her shoulder, barely looking up from her screens. Handling dinner turned into handling groceries, cleaning dishes, you name it. Every day it was something new, and every day Amy had less time with Daniel and more demands. Hey, can you believe the clients I'm dealing with? If I don't keep on this, we might lose the contract, she said one evening, her voice tinged with stress. That's been all too common. Lately, Daniel tried to be understanding. Sure, babe, I will handle it. You just focus on your work. That's how it all went. Daniel picking up slack, thinking it was just a rough patch, but that patch seems to grow into a permanent shadow. One day, Daniel was coming home from a double shift, his muscles aching and mind buzzing from exhaustion. He found the house a mess, dishes piled up, and Amy sitting on the couch, scrolling through her laptop. Daniel, the garbage disposer is acting up again. You think you can take a look? Her voice was casual, like she didn't just spend the whole day at home. Daniel paused and frowned at the mess around him as he stared at the chaos around him. Yeah, sure, just let me catch my breath for a second. Things just spiraled from there. The chores became Daniel's second full job, and Amy, she just drifted further away, locked behind her laptop screen, her words groaning sharper by the day. It wouldn't hurt you try a little harder around here. Daniel, it's not like your job is as demanding as mine, she would throw out during dinner, her eyes cold and distant. The word started dropping more frequently. Daniel heard her whisper under her breath where he forgot to pick up her dry cleaning, or where he was too tired to make the bed just the way she likes it. One evening, Daniel tried to talk it out. Hey, Amy, do you think maybe we could go back to how things were? Sharing things a bit more. She looked at him, and Daniel looked right back at her. For the first time in months, and what he saw in her eyes wasn't the woman he married. Oh, honey, just keep doing what you are doing. I don't have time for these conversations right now. That was the reality of Daniel's daily life. His wife, the business, the house, it all just piled on. Daniel was losing sleep, losing weight, and somewhere along the line, he started losing himself too. Just a guy trying to keep it all together, wondering when the balance would tip back in his favor. This fateful day, the exhaustion finally caught up to him. He was trying to fix the leaking sink, standing on a slick patch of water. He hadn't noticed. Next thing he knew, he was on the floor, pain shooting through his leg and back like fire. You need to watch where you are stepping, Daniel. Amy's voice came floating down the hall, more irritated than concerned. I think it's bad, Amy. Can you call someone? There was a pause, then a heavy sigh. Fine, I will call. Just try not to make a mess. The ambulance got Daniel to the hospital, where the doctors put him through X-ray, pain meds. The works turned out that he had a fractured leg and a couple of bruised ribs. The real kicker, he was going to be stuck there for a while. You should have been more careful. I can't believe this, how busy I am right now. Amy hissed beside him later that day. I can't be here, Daniel. You have to manage. Manage, Amy. I'm laid up in a hospital bed. Just try not to be a burden. Those days in the hospital were long and lonely. Amy didn't visit, not once. Daniel's phone stayed quiet, except for the odd text checking if he was still alive, more out of obligation than concern. That's when Daniel met Luke, a kid with a mop of unruly hair and a serious neck for video game. He was in the next bed over, getting treated for something he wouldn't talk about. But this little child, Luke, lit up Daniel when he talked about games. You could totally make your own game, Daniel. What kind of game should I make? Something epic, heroes, villains, big battles, and you can put it in all the stuff you are dealing with. Make the villain like a super annoying boss who makes everyone do all the work. Daniel laughed more than he had in months. You think people will play that? Definitely. I mean, who doesn't want to beat their boss in a game? Luke's enthusiasm was infectious, and as they sketched out ideas on scraps of hospital paper, Daniel felt that old spark of creativity flare up. It was like breathing fresh air after being underwater for too long. Promise you'll make it, Daniel. You will make video games on whatever you are going through. Oh, it's a deal, Luke. I promise I will make it whenever I'm ready. And hopefully, people will want to play my game. Sure they will. I'll be looking out for those games. When Daniel finally got back home on crutches, and all he expected may be a bit of concern from Amy, but nothing had changed. The house was a total mess, and she was nowhere to be seen, probably holed up in her office like usual. I'm home, baby, Daniel called out, more out of habit than anything. There was a clatter from the office, and then Amy appeared, her face blank. Oh, you are back. Can you take out the trash? It's starting to smell. Daniel stared at her. Really? Looking at her, and something in him just snapped. Can't you see I'm on crutches? It's just trash, Daniel. It's not like it's heavy. That night, Daniel lay awake, thinking about everything. His job, the chores, the loneliness, and Luke's word. Something had to change. He couldn't keep living like this, a ghost in her own life. The next morning, Daniel made a decision. No more. He was going to start working on that game. It was time to take back his life, one pixel at a time. Amy was more distant than ever, her phone constantly buzzing, her response cut when he asked simple things like, "Where were you last night? I called a few times." "Oh, I was just out with clients. You know how it is. I just have to keep the business afloat." Somehow, the way she avoided eye contact was a red flag. Daniel couldn't ignore the suspicions. They were gnawing at him each day, a bit more. He started noticing things: receipt for dinner he never attended, the scent of a different cologne on her clothes, calls whispered too quietly when he entered the room. "Amy, whose jacket is this?" "It's not mine, just a friend. He must have left it here by mistake. Can you just put it away?" "It's for a friend." Since when did friends live close at our house? Something was off, and he had to find out, so he did what any desperate guy might consider a last resort. He checked her phone when she was asleep. The texts were all there, a whole hidden relationship with someone from her company. It wasn't just emotional, it was full-blown betrayal. The next morning, he confronted her. The house was silent, the air thick, as he held up the phone. "Can you explain this?" She didn't even flinch, her face a mask of annoyance more than guilt. "You went through my phone, Daniel. That's my private stuff." "Private? Is that what you guys call affairs these days? It's not like you were around that much. Either always tired or always busy with your own thing." "That's because I was busy keeping our life together, while you..." Daniel couldn't even finish the sentence, the anger and hurt choking him up. She sighed a long, weary sound. "Daniel, maybe it's better if you just deal with it. We are not kids. People have needs." "Needs? What about trust? What about us?" "Us? There hasn't been an us in a long time." "Not really." That hit harder than any truth should. Daniel realized that this wasn't just about infidelity. It was about respect, love, and everything in between that they'd lost. "Amy, I can't do this anymore. I'm filing for divorce." She paused, her eyes finally meeting him. "You are serious?" "I couldn't be more serious." The next few weeks were a blur of lawyers and paperwork. Amy's business was beginning to crumble. The stress of bankruptcy proceeding only adding to the chaos. She tried to negotiate, tried to talk Daniel out of it, but he was done. The evidence of her affair gave him a strong case, and his lawyer was very optimistic about the outcome. "We'll make sure you get what you deserve, Daniel. She can't just walk away from this." The divorce was messy, public and draining, but necessary. Daniel felt each day lighten as the chains of that toxic relationship slowly lifted. He knew he had a long road ahead, but for the first time in years, it felt like a road he wanted to walk on. The courtroom was filled with tension, the kind that makes you rethink every decision you've ever made. Daniel sat there with the document in his hands, waiting for his turn to lay it all out. Amy was on the other side, her lawyer whispering last-minute advice. "You understand the charges against you, correct? Infidelity, emotional neglect, and financial exploitation." Her voice was barely above a whisper. "Yes, but it's not as simple as it sounds. We have text messages, emails, witness statements. Daniel has a strong case against you." I was under a lot of pressure. The company, it was already falling apart. I didn't mean for things to go this far. The intention doesn't change the fact that you betrayed your husband. Amy, you left him to manage everything while you... I know, it's just everything got so complicated, so fast. The judge called them forward, and that's when the real show started. Daniel's lawyer was a bulldog, presenting every shred of evidence. they had collected. The text painted a clear picture, and the receipt for gifts and hotel stays were just the icing on the cake. How do you explain this expenditure? Amy, they are quite extravagant for someone claiming financial difficulties. They were mostly business expenses. And what about booking weekend getaways? Amy's face said, cracking, "It was a mistake. I'm not perfect, as you can clearly see." The judge noted down, jotting down notes, his expression unreadable. The gallery was packed, whispers fluttering around like disturbed birds. Every eye was on Amy, watching as the queen of her own tech empire crumbled. There is also a claim for alimony. Given the circumstances, the emotional and physical toll on Daniel, we believe is more than justified. The judge looked over at Daniel, his gaze piercing. "And you, Mr. Daniel, how have these events affected you?" "It's been hard, Your Honor. I've lost time, health, peace of mind. I just want to move on." The room fell silent, the weight of his words hanging in the air. After what felt like an eternity, the judge finally spoke, giving the evidence presented. "I am inclined to grant the request for alimony. The behavior exhibited by Mrs. Daniel not only violated the sanctity of marriage, but also contributed to the significant emotional distress." Amy's face went white, her lawyer patting her hand in a weak attempt at comfort. Outside the courtroom, the news had already spread. Cameras flashed as they exited, questions thrown at them. Daniel kept his head low, ignoring the chaos. Amy, however, was not so lucky. Her reputation was in shreds, her professional life a parade of headlines and whispers. As Daniel walked away from the courthouse, he felt the first real breath of freedom in years. It was over, as he could finally start rebuilding piece by piece. The wall of computers and the soft glow of screens have become his new comfort zone. Deep into game development, now channeling everything he's been through into a game that feels more like a project than a work. As Daniel gathered his team around, ready to brainstorm their next big project, Daniel was not just moving forward, but he was soaring with each step he took with each game he created. He was not just rebuilding his life, he was reshaping his destiny. Daniel found strength and success by turning his toughest challenge into a game that resonated with many. And Amy never stopped paying alimony to Daniel. Now, here is an interesting question for you, my beautiful viewers. What do you think about using personal hardship as inspiration for creativity? Is it a therapeutic approach, or could it lead to living in the past? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this story, I like how it unfolded. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe for more content like this. Let's keep the conversations going. Till I see you again in my next story. Goodbye.